not if you can hear me.
It's just time to pay the price, not listening to advice, and deciding in your youth on the policy of truth.
People who have no idea what they're talking about, and gentlemen, had a very short-lived and one-sided debate with a moron named betamaxlives03, claims to be from Ireland. I'm sure other people who are Irish will claim to either not be from Ireland or say he's not from Ireland. And this focuses on a subject I've ran into countless times here on YouTube. A lot of progressives spouting forth the talking point. We're cutting education spending. We're not spending enough on education. We're not investing in education so our kids can get a quality education and be qualified to do something other than serve me fries when I go to McDonald's, which I don't do that often. But as you can see in the screenshots rolling by, on 2 occasions, the one on Nitro's channel and the rest of the comments are on my channel, this idiot feigned knowledge concerning U.S. education spending and policy. So I asked him a question related to that on as far as per student expenditures, class sizes, how they've trended over the last 40 years or so, and spending at the federal, state, and local level. Asked him some questions related to that, and he got angry and started trying to be funny because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And then he even tried to say, well, it's not a very interesting subject. Well, why do you bring it up then? And this is happens to a lot of progressives. I've seen this talking point countless times, and they don't know what they're talking about. They're pulling this information out of their butts. And all the links will be underneath the video. There's plenty of stuff for you to peruse. Let's look at some real stats, because I have stats, and this guy pulls info out of his rear end. For public schools, the number of pupils per teacher, that is the pupil teacher ratio, declined from 22.3 in 1970 to 17.9 in 1985. After 1985, the public school pupil per teacher ratio continued to decline, reaching 17.2 in 1989. It is now, it was 15.3 in 2008. So you can see from 22.3 in 1970 to 15.3 in 2008. So teachers have a lot fewer pupils in their classes. In the last 40 years, it's been going down. Teacher salaries since 1990 have been slightly above the rate of inflation. So the talking point that teachers are suffering across the board pay cuts is false. Between 1985 through 2005, enrollment in pre-kindergarten increased by 585%. Much of this can be attributed to the expansions of the federal Head Start program, a holdover from the LBJ administration. I have a link underneath the video demonstrating the ineffectiveness of this program, as well as fraud in that program. It should also be noted that the percentage of students enrolled in private schools is declining. So they can't say, oh, there's all these kids going to these dumb private schools that are deviating. You know, as an idiot named Old Fart Rants was whining about private schools in Louisiana. They're deviating from a core curriculum and these kids aren't going to be qualified. Well, actually, the percentage of students enrolled in private schools is declining. In mathematics, these United States regularly lags behind its OECD competitors, despite all this public money for education, which I'll get to in a moment. Graduation rates aren't faring much better. From the 1990-91 school year through the 1999-2000 school year, it averaged just over 72%. From 2000-2001 through the 2004-05 school year, there was improvement, but still over a quarter of freshmen don't complete high school in 4 years. 48% of ACT-tested high school graduates are not proficient enough in reading for college-level coursework. That's pretty bad. Only 55% of all students complete coursework to get a 4-year degree in less than 6 years. Did you get that? Only 55% of all students complete coursework to get a 4-year degree in less than 6 years. That's why many of them have student loans, why they're buried underneath them. It'll take them eons to pay them off. Nationally, 68% of 8th graders are not proficient or advanced in reading. A quarter of them are below basic. For you race traders out there, the public school system isn't doing black children much good, and I've made this point many times. Blacks typically vote Democrat, and Democrats are all for major expansions, and even the Republicans under Bush too, major expansions of power and money related to Washington's involvement in education. A full 86% of black 8th graders aren't proficient or advanced in reading. 42% are below basic. So what are they going to do? Serve burgers and fries? And now to the spending facet of it. This is what we've spent. I've already given you the results. All this spending on a free public education and reduced class sizes has not done much good. Federal spending related to education, training, employment, and social services, adjusted for inflation, increased by over 33% from fiscal year 1990 through fiscal year 2000. Look at any 10-year period related to that spending and has been well above the rate of inflation. Even after a massive cut in fiscal year 2011, it was still almost $100 billion. No lack of funding there. Moving on, starting in fiscal year 1970, it only took 8 years for Federal Department of Education spending to double. By fiscal year 1989, it had more than doubled again. By fiscal year 2002, it had more than doubled again. The funding in fiscal year 2011 was more than 30% the level it was in fiscal year 2002, and fiscal year 2011 was much lower than the previous fiscal year. No lack of funding there either. Now, if we look at expenditures per pupil, adjusted for inflation, the increase is massive. These include instruction, student support services, food services, enterprise operations, capital outlays, and interest on debt. In 1970, expenditure per pupil in average daily attendance was $5,393. Per pupil, average daily attendance, $5,393 in 1970. In 1990, that was $8,923 per student. In 2005, this was almost $11,500 per student. We're spending that much money for those results. This guy has no clue. So again, he made a statement acting as if he knew about, levels of U.S. education spending. He made a comment to Nitro about that too. It was an ad hominem appeal, but when I asked him for specifics on this, I got nothing. In fact, he stalled for a while, and I just pitched him to the curb after that because I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. He did get into some bragging, and I'd say from your track record so far, I'd say when he makes a statement, he probably doesn't know what he's talking about, but he's not used to being called out on it. He tries to turn every conversation into a battle royale, and then nothing gets accomplished and nobody really learns anything. So again, this idiot is clueless. All the links are underneath the video. He has no idea about this spending. The federal government has no constitutional basis to get involved in education, yet it has a large role today, and it is counterproductive. It's not working, and that's why we're churning out idiots, well, like this guy, even though he claims to be from Ireland, and people like Old Fart Rants, who also have no clue. So again, if you see a progressive talking about we're cutting education spending, you can direct them to this video, and I have done other videos on it, and some of them are underneath the video. You can check those out. Have a nice day, betamaxlives03, you idiot, and don't thank me now for correcting you, little man.